Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Man Maker. During the last part, I covered several VRSubmitted levels. So in this part, I'll be doing something a bit different. I'll be covering the 50 plus levels that were submitted to the 3rd official Mega Man Maker level design challenge. This challenge is titled Wily Construction Corps. The backstory here is that Dr. Wily is being cheap again. So instead of building his own new Wily castle, he's decided to outsource development over to level designers, and he'll pick the best castles that fit the best for the next endgames. Here are the rules for this challenge. No Kaizo or Troll levels are allowed. The player must start out with 8 actual weapons and 2 utilities in their arsenal, plus a buster type weapon must be the default. No form of weapon or character capsules are allowed, and the stage should not go far beyond 50 screens total. If any of these levels break one or more of the rules, they are instantly disqualified from the challenge. Although for this series of videos, I'll cover them nonetheless. This challenge ran from September 28 to October 1st. Although I already know who won this challenge, I want to give all the submitted levels a time to shine. I'll be covering levels roughly in order of submission, earliest to latest. If I come across a level that I already covered earlier during this LP series, I'll skip over it and make a note of what episode I covered it in. So let's begin with this level, Sky Fortress by Low Budgeted Flying Ting, with 25 plays and a score of 1. For every one of these episodes, I'll try covering at least 4 or 5 levels. Also, as always, the full disclaimer of this entire LP series is linked in the description below. Also in the description are the timestamps for all the levels I cover in these parts. So far we're starting out pretty well. I'm not sure how difficult this level is going to be. All the levels I'll cover in these challenge series are going to be fortress/castle levels, so they'll probably assume we understand how these gimmicks work already, but I'll still be looking for a nice difficulty curve, starting out easier and ending harder. Can't get that yet. I have to access it from the other side too. I see the challenge. I need to push the push block to the left. Already some neat usage of special weapons. And then we go down over here. And push this one out of the way. Let's deal with that screw bomber first. And get it this way. Now we can backtrack up to that door. Already the level is looping up on itself nicely. And good checkpoint placement, exactly where I'd place it. This is already a solid fortress level. It really feels like an air fortress. And both of the utilities, being the power adapter and item tree, are used in interesting configurations. I could probably fit in the block there, but this works as well. I need more weapon energy for it, though I'm running out. Do I really need it? Nah, I'll ignore it. I don't need it. I don't have charge kick either. Another puzzle. There, I blocked that gap. Now I can block this side. Of course, that resets. Simple but effective puzzles. Already went here, so I guess I go to the right instead. That was just optional. Is there something down here? Yeah, a spike dropped. But I need to use item tree there. How do I collect those? I think I have enough to complete this segment. Checkpoint density is getting more frequent for some reason. Now we're forced to use all of our special weapons here. Oh, we need to do it in a specific order. You may want to put a weapon capsule respawner here, so players aren't forced to slowly grind up weapon energy. My apologies, but after spending over 10 minutes on this stage, I couldn't figure out a solution to this puzzle, so I opened up the level editor and punched in a hole. Kind of also wrecks the flow of this level, if you were to ask me. I know this has quite a bit of puzzles, but now I have this kind of puzzle which deadlocks me. Out of everything I've seen so far in this stage, that was the hardest part. That's how we get down there. Clever usage of this utility. I wish we had more of those challenges, as opposed to the weapon block ones. Looks like I have to cross it the classic way. I'm gonna have to use item tree to increase my jumping height. Just hold right there, and you succeed. See, outside of one segment, the rest of the stage flows pretty well, nice difficulty curve, but that one segment alone has such a difficulty spike that it really wrecked my fun and my perception of the level, because the rest of it was at least a solid 6.5 or 7 out of 10, even better. Anyways, moving on to the next level. Second up is Get Your Weapons Ready by Flip, with 28 plays and a score of 1. Although now that I think about it, the play counts are a bit inaccurate, as the judges and other players probably just downloaded the level first anyways. Let's see, 8 special weapons and 2 utilities. The previous level should have also had weapon capsule respawners, so players that need to farm weapon energy slowly. Already a lot more action-packed. Lots of enemies to worry about here. I'm not too keen about the purple skies though. Now I need to be careful here with the yellow force beam so I don't trigger them. I don't mind forced weapon usage in these fortress stages, as in classic Mega Man games, you are expected to have all the special weapons by this point. Good checkpoint placement, and thank you for the weapon respawner. We had a nice progression of outside to inside. Whereas the previous section incentivized usage of the needle cannon, this one's heavily incentivizing usage of the atomic fire. Now this part of the stage is going to incentivize usage of the wild coil. Already I can see that this stage is going for a very different feel than the last one, which was slower paced and more puzzle oriented. This is faster paced and enemy oriented. Plus, weapon drops are much more plentiful, incentivizing players to spam their weapons. That's kind of embarrassing for the Ring. I mean the Whopper. Will every special weapon in our arsenal get a time to shine? It seems that each of these sections is built to the specifications, pros and cons of every special weapon. Like the previous one with the wild coil, the one before that with the needle cannon, and now this one with the blizzard attack. A bit of a puzzle here. I can always just do this, and damage boost. I guess this is the end of the stage. It is. Flame Man with this environment. We had 4 different sections, one for needle cannon, one for atomic fire, one for wild coil, and one for blizzard attack. If there was another Wily Fortress level, there'd probably be one for the oil slider and 3 other special weapons. Overall, a solid action-packed level. I liked it more than the previous one, for sure. And it also had a solid difficulty curve. Third up is Striped Castle by Lunu's Challenge Pavilion, aka Lunu Leaf, with 67 plays and a score of 9. Looks like this is going to be one of those longer levels, and I'll try editing out most of the loading time for this stage. It may also be because it has a lot of objects. First Proto Man level, 8 special weapons, 2 utilities. Just making sure this level follows the rules. There's probably 1 or 2 or more of them that don't. We have the orange and red stripes here. Proto Man takes double damage though, so I need to be careful. All of this is perfectly doable buster only, unlike the previous 2 levels where there was forced usage of special weapons. Although they were also fortress levels, so it didn't matter as much. If all these levels were traditional levels though, I'd expect that all of them are completable buster only, no special weapons required. With the exception of alternate pathways, of course. Now we moved on to gray and pinkish purple stripes. Ah, neat setup. That kind of reminds me of the setup I used in a later part of my own Magma 1 stage. A small twist to the usual spike falling segment. Back to white and orange stripes. Even the spikes are striped. Pretty simple starting Yoku section. Now it gets a bit harder. Thank you for placing a checkpoint after that difficult segment, as well as full refills, for our life and partially for our weapons. Ah, vertical segment, neat. It's another nice spin on the spike fall segments, this time with some enemies. Let's go for it. I know how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to ride on top of the Cossack platform, but I'll take the safe route instead. Still, this stage is very solid. I'd say out of the 3 levels so far, it's my favorite one. The previous one wasn't that shabby though. Now we have a rising segment, to contrast with the falling segments earlier. This also feels easier than the previous 2 stages. That may be just me though. You do take double damage here. And there's the end of the stage, with all the different stripes. There are 3 or 4 different sets of stripes. And we have a neat boss arena against Springman. That's not his weakness. That looks to be his weakness. Of course, I need to be careful of the fact that if I use a time slow combined with the push block and the punch block will punch the block much higher than usual. It's an odd engine quirk, I know. I learned that in a previous episode. Very solid level. I say an 8 out of 10. The previous stage would probably get a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10, and the one before it a 6.5 out of 10. Great work, Lunu Leaf. So fourth and final level to part is Emerald Castle Wily Fort by BBLIR, with 38 plays and a score of 9. I recognize that name from Magmal 2, and a few other levels I played by them. I know they submitted a few levels to me during some of the viewer submitted levels parts. It also seems that all these levels are a bit longer than usual, all taking at least up to 10 minutes to complete. It feels like I'm playing a combination of 2 Wily Fortresses back to back for every level, 1.5 to 2. Liking the aesthetics here. I say that this has the best aesthetics so far. Thank you for the advanced warning of the force beams, as well as fans. So reintroduced to them in advance so you understand how they work. Also, thank you very much for granting me access to the skull barrier with these spikes. It's extremely appreciated. You know how much trouble I have with these fans and spikes. Even with the skull barrier, it isn't exactly easy because you have the risk of it getting dissipated with enemies. Seems the level designer is also heavily using the blackout blocks. Checkpoint placement is on point. All the stages in this part have pretty good checkpoint placement. Reintroducing the usage of Cossack platforms. In some ways, this feels like a traditional level, although with expedited gimmick introduction. This and the previous stage so far feel the most like a traditional Wily Fortress level. Specifically in terms of gimmick usage and the number of weapons you have to use. Usually in Wily Fortress levels, at least in the classic games, you don't need to use that many special weapons, if any. The only things you're forced to use are usually utilities. That is, if you're required to anyway. The stage is gradually getting more difficult though, so that's a plus. I'm pointing all these things out as many levels get these wrong. I should also be using my special weapons more. Oh, and that's it. This was the shortest level of the bunch. So this definitely feels the most like a fortress stage. About the appropriate length, maybe slightly longer, but it still feels fine. I've been waiting for this to happen throughout this LP series, ever since the Power Stone was introduced to the game. Especially as it seems to be able to pierce through enemy guards sometimes, or rather Shademan's guard. This gets a solid 7.5 out of 10, or maybe even 8 out of 10. Good work, BBLIR. Outside the first level I covered in this part, the levels have been pretty good. Much better than the levels you usually get on the most popular queue. But that's only 4 levels down. I'll do some episodes covering these challenge levels, and then I'll do some episodes covering Veer Summit levels, and swap between the two. So in the next part, I'll probably be covering several more Veer Summit levels. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Toodles!